Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video. Last week, I just kind of was a subject I kind of wanted to touch on, and I know it was a little bit on the serious side, but we're going to get back into the whole anime and fandom and all that good stuff. Starting with a review of the live-action movie based on the anime Golden Kamuy. So let's get into it. The live-action movie Golden Kamuy. Now, if you watch the channel, you know I've already done a review of it back in February. For those of you who would like to see that review, I'll put the link down below. I'm going to give you a spoiler to that review. I really liked it. I am currently watching, or trying to watch it, because, you know, everyone has such a huge queue of anime that they're going to watch. So, but I'm going to go back to it and try to push through as much as I can. I was torn about whether or not to watch this live action movie. I had heard it was coming out, and I had just started watching anime, and I was just like, Netflix is going to put it on in May, and how much of the anime can I get through before I watch the movie? Because I was asking myself, do I really want to watch this movie? Do I really want to watch it? Because there's going to be spoilers in it. I haven't finished the series. The manga was in a shonen magazine from like 2012 to like 2022. So that it's a long form story. And I'm like going, do I really want to do this? And then I saw the trailer. And again, those of you who watch the channel know that I was like really excited by the trailer. So I had a decision to make, and it was released on Netflix on May 19th. Oh, by the way, if you want to watch the anime, that is going to be on Crunchyroll right now as we speak. So please go ahead and watch the anime because it really is good. So I bit the bullet. I said, you know what? I don't want to get behind on this. I don't want this to be one of those things where it's just like I meant to watch it and then I forgot about it and then it goes away, right? You know, I don't want to do that. So I was just like, well, the story's going to be long form on the anime, so, you know, it'll be okay. I can just do a compare contrast, right? Like I'll have seen the movie. I'm sure there'll be different things happening differently in the anime. So I watched the movie. And before I get into my criticism of it, I will tell you this. Where I stopped, where I ended, or not stopped, but where I was at in the anime, the movie only goes so far. Past that. And there was only one it was a big spoiler, but it was only one spoiler that I got out of the movie. Because they're going to make parts of the movie. They didn't tell the whole story in 2 hours. Thank goodness, because this is a big story. And so I'm really happy about that. So it ends at a certain point just beyond where I last watched it, the last episode that I watched. So I'm really, really happy about that. Okay, so the plot of Golden Kamuy, if you don't know, I'm going to just go through it really quickly because, again, I talk about it in a little bit more detail in the anime. And so basically, Immortal Sugimoto. So this guy was in the Japanese army, fought at the battle of he was at Port Arthur. There was this battle, really bloody battle that he was in part of, and this was in the Russo-Japanese War, 1904-1905. He comes back, he survives the war, and we see him panhandling for gold. He's trying to find gold. He has a reason for it that we find out later. And he, so the story kind of starts there, and he goes on to try, and he comes across this old convict who gets drunk and tells him this story about how all these guys got these tattoos in the prison, and apparently it's a code to find all this gold that they stole from the Ainu. This all takes place in Hokkaido, by the way. And so then Sugimoto goes on the quest to find all the codes, right? All the convicts, and try to get a copy of their tattoos and things, and find the gold, because he has a reason for that, to do that. Along the way, he comes across this young girl named Aspira, who is an Ainu, and she winds up assisting him in this search for the gold because she has her own reasons for doing it. And by the way, they're honest with each other as to what these reasons are. It's not anything, not like a big secret or anything like that. And they come across another guy, the Great Escapist, the King of the Escapement or something like that. And he just wants the gold because he's a thief. Why not? So these three, by the time I hit, by the end of the movie, they become their own little group that's going after the gold. So during the movie, you find out, or during the movie and the anime, you find out there are two other major factions that are looking for the gold. One is led by a old school samurai, who wants the gold to fund an army so that he can take over Hokkaido and reinstitute basically the Japan that he knows. Keep in mind that this movie takes place 2 years after the end of the Japanese-Russian War, which means that this is towards the end of the Meiji Restoration. So this guy, the samurai, is old enough to have been a samurai previous to the Meiji Restoration, which basically did away with the samurai class. So he wants to bring back the glory days, right, of being a shogunate. But he realizes he can't take over Japan. He's going to settle for Hokkaido. So you have that faction. You have this other faction led by this really creepy guy. And these guys were actually part, like Tsujimoto, they are veterans of the war. They were part of the Army's, I believe, 7th Division. And they were in the thick of the battle with Tsujimoto. Tsujimoto was in a different division, different unit. But this guy who's leading these people got hit by a mortar shell, and the frontal lobe of his brain is gone. So he's got this like plate on his head. And periodically when he gets excited or angry or whatever, like a little bit of leakage comes out. It's kind of gross. But he's clearly insane. But he has a group of followers from the army who are kind of ticked off at the government because the government really didn't do anything for the veterans, didn't really do anything for the families of those who died. And so they want to create their own version of Hokkaido, which will be a military dictatorship. And one of the goals of that military dictatorship is to take care of the families of the veterans and those who died, and also to give their own lives meaning. So you have these, thus far, the three factions, Tsujimoto's little group, and these two large, almost army-like groups that have the same goal but for different reasons, which is they want Hokkaido to be their own country. So there you are. So the movie basically takes the story up to the point where Tsujimoto is dealing with the 7th Division guys. The guys who want to create an Ezo period of Japan, that's the samurai period, they're kind of starting up their own gig at this point. And so everyone's going for the gold, so to speak. So there's your story. So that's it. If you want to know more about the plot, you can watch the anime and of course watch the movie. So here are some of the criticisms, good and bad. So let's start off with some of the bad ones. There's actually not a whole lot, to be honest, and it's more about production values than anything else, and it has to do really with a particular CGI effect and one particular combat scene. So the CGI effect is Aspira's wolf. So in the anime and in the movie, Aspira has taken in this, when she was younger, has taken in a wolf cub, raised it in the whole 9 yards, and then when it became old enough, it wanted to go back to the wild, but it has never really left her. Isn't too far away from Aspira at any given moment, so that when she's really in trouble, when she's in over her head, he comes in in a clutch and just defends her, helps her out from time to time. It's a huge wolf. Think like the dire wolves from Game of Thrones. He's that size, but he's totally white. Okay, so the CGI of that wolf is not great, but serviceable. And there are certain points where you buy into it. That's a wolf. I mean, it's not horrible or anything like that. It's just not. It could be better. They could spend a little bit more money on that. But the wolf as a character itself does very well in the story, in the anime, and both in the movie. The other real criticism that I have is a scene in the later third of the movie where Sugimoto is fighting the 7th Division guys, some 7th Division guys, on a sled that's being driven by a horse by a Aspira. And he's trying to escape. They're both trying to escape the 7th Division guys. So it's kind of like Indiana Jones-esque, where, he's falling off, getting back on, fighting, and weird contortions and all this stuff. And, like, the blaze, like, right there in his eye, and, that kind of stuff. The combat is actually good and fun and exciting. It's just that when you look at the sled and you realize that they're not going fast, like unintentionally, like you're supposed to get the sense that they're like really breakneck speed down the center of Otaku, which is the town that they happen to be in, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. It's like there's a scene in, speaking of Indiana Jones, where he falls underneath the truck, right, and he uses his whip to get onto the bumper, and he's being dragged, and there's that quick scene where you can tell that they're going like 3 miles an hour, right, and it's a really short scene. Think that only going on for about 2 or 3 minutes, and you realize that they're not going that fast. So that's my big criticism. Otherwise, the combat scenes are was very well choreographed. As a matter of fact, that is a positive criticism of this movie, which is they spent time choreographing and making the fight scenes look really, really good. As a matter of fact, both the anime and the movie open with Sugimoto in the trenches about to assault Hill 203 at Port Arthur to attack the Russians, and that whole combat sequence in the movie is actually better than the anime. You heard me. It's better than the anime. It's just breakneck, and then you start wondering about things like, did that ant give him immortal powers? You have to watch the movie or the anime to get that reference. Anyway, so yes, very well choreographed. The fight scenes are very well choreographed. The other thing is that they chose the cast very, very, very well. This is a really good cast. My Japanese is horrible, so I'm not going to really try and go through the names. The guy that they have, I'm going to go ahead and look this up. The guy that they have playing Sugimoto, let me see if I can find him real quick. Kento Yamazaki, great job. He really brings off Sugimoto's kind of irreverence and a little bit of buffoonery, unintentional buffoonery, and comedic. He brings out the lines really well. He brings out the comedy of Sugimoto. Sugimoto, by the way, is not a comedic character. He's very serious, actually, quite serious, actually, especially with the reason why he's trying to get the gold, which is to, this is not a spoiler, which is to get a doctor to improve the eyesight of his best friend's wife. And his best friend was, again, not a spoiler, killed in the battle of Hill 203. So, he has his reasons for getting this gold. So he is actually quite a serious character. He's a serious soldier, but he has a comedic side, and how he reacts to things is just really well done. They really, again, I wish my Japanese was better. All the actors, if you get a chance, go on IMDb and just take a look at the actor list. These guys did a really good job of portraying the characters from the anime. It's just, very little, any complaint I might have would be actually honestly be nitpicking, so I'm not even going to bother. Now, one of the things that came up prior to my watching the movie, and I've seen this on some of the Reddit holes that you go down, and some of the other criticisms that other people talked about when the trailer came out, which was that they felt that the young lady that plays Aspira in the live action movie is a little bit older in looks than the character in the anime. To be clear, in the anime, Aspira really is like 13, maybe 14 years old, a very mature 13, 14-year-old girl. very capable, quite capable. You'll see her, she's Anu, so she knows how to hunt and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But she is much, much significantly younger than Sugimoto in the anime. It's very, very obvious that there's a huge age gap. And in the anime, they talk about, the grandmother of Aspira is just like, hey, why don't you marry Aspira? And Sugimoto's like, and that's kind of nice and refreshing to have someone go, yeah, she's too young. So I'm kind of hoping that the series continues in that direction, and that the movies do as well. But back to Anna Yamada, who plays Aspira in the movie. She looks to be about, in the movie, they aged her character up probably to around 15, 16 years old. So, which makes a little bit more sense with the physicality of the character. In real life, Anna Yamada is, I believe, 23 years old, which is kind of crazy because she doesn't look it. But again, they don't really say, oh, they're the love interest right now, thank goodness, because it still would be a little creepy if they did that. So, yeah, those are, again, the story is very well told, and that's another thing, a big bonus of this movie. When I did the, little dive into the research behind the movie of making it and that kind of thing, this is really great. So the guy who directed it, Shigeki Kubo, is a huge fan of the manga and the anime. So I'm thinking this is his dream project. Now, as I said earlier, the movie is only tells the story to a point, and it just goes just beyond where I'm at in the anime right now. And I was really happy to see that I wasn't going to get the whole story in 2 hours, because usually when they do that, they do it not very well. So we're going to get more movies of Golden Kamuy as we move forward, which is really good because the screenwriter is the guy who actually wrote the manga. That's right. So let me see if I can get his name right. Satoru Noda. So I hope I said that correctly. The guy who wrote the manga. And they both have the same goal for the movies, which is to tell the original story. So they're not going to deviate greatly from the anime. So if you've already watched the anime, if you're done with the anime and you're interested in this movie, and if you like the anime, it's going to be the live action of that. Okay? They're not going to do anything significantly different than what you already know. So this is just a live action version of that, which is, for me, really good. I'm really happy about that. So again, just kind of give you a historical perspective. This takes place around 1907. We're at the tail end of the Meiji era, which means that there's a lot of technology in play right now, and that's why one of the factions don't like what's going on. Why they want Hokkaido? It's kind of what I call the Izo faction. That's where it's led by the samurai guy. And I think I know where they're going with that, which I think they're trying to retell a story of the Satsuma Rebellion. Anyway. I'm a history nerd. We'll just leave it at that. So it's towards the end of the Meiji era. So you're going to see people in traditional and what appears to be more modern dress. You're going to see certain levels of technology. Military technology for that time period is high. For the Japanese. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting look and an interesting period of time, because of course we all know that the Taisho era comes in 1912 after the Meiji Emperor dies. So yeah, it's an interesting period of time in Japan. It's a huge time of change and flux, and of conflicting ideas. And this movie is bringing all that up to your face for you to watch. So. Yeah, do I recommend this movie? Can you tell? Can you guess where I'm going to go with whether or not I think you should watch this? Of course you should watch this. This is very good. I am so happy that they did such a good job on this first movie, and I can't wait to see the second. So there you go. Golden Kamuy, first part 1, we'll call it, live action. You can see it on Netflix right now as we speak. And if you want to watch the anime, you can watch it on Crunchyroll again right now as we speak. So please watch both. You're going to enjoy yourselves. That is it for this week. So yes, watch Golden Kamuy live action movie on Netflix right now. It's airing right now, and you should go watch it because it's very, very entertaining. If you haven't watched the anime, please do. It's on Crunchyroll. It's a long form anime if I remember correctly, and I'm still working through it, but I am enjoying every bit of it just as I have enjoyed this movie. So please take advantage of that. But if you want to see the review that I did for Golden Kamuy, the link will be down below. So next week we're going to talk about swag that I got from a couple interesting places. Just a short little video. And then after that we're going to do, I think we're going to do an anime review on an anime that is about a submarine. Maybe, perhaps, we'll see. Stay tuned. So, that's it. And for you guys be good. Stay healthy. I'd like to see you at conventions at some time. That would be really awesome and great. If you were to come up to me and say hello, I would love that so much. I might even have Pocky for you. You never know. Anyway, speaking of conventions, even though I don't have the date off the top of my head, I believe at the end of August, we're going to have another OnCon. And yes, yours truly is going to do another panel. So yes, so you now have that information. So stay good, stay well, love you guys, and I will see you next time. And as always, watch more anime.